Hello, it's me, Ryan and Dino, back with another video. Today we're going to be reviewing our week 3 for the RPA Draft League. My opponent has a really interesting team, so without further ado, let's roll the intro and get into the prep. Looking at the team sheet, it sure is something. I'm not that confident that Tapu Koko will come, but it probably will because it outspeeds Zamazenta. Volcarona poses a really big problem for my team because Latias and Chi-Yu cannot handle it well. I may have to use Snarl Chi-Yu, who knows. But speaking of Chi-Yu, he has Dugtrio, which is a really big problem. If Chi-Yu gets trapped by Dugtrio, the game is over because I can't check Kyurem Black now. And Kyurem Black obviously is a really big problem to my team because my only ice resist is Chi-Yu and Zamazenta. Chi-Yu is not known for its bulk, and Kyurem Black's extensive coverage makes it bypass Zamazenta, so I have to invest quite a lot in bulk. Sneasler also looks extremely scary in the endgame, especially because I have to dedicate a Mon to hold Covert Cloak to not get Dire Clawed. Spectrier is always threatening, because my normal type is Walkabilly, and I'm basically forced to bring Latias this match, so both Volcarona and Spectrier are going to eat really well. Mega Bayonet, I don't think it's gonna come, but there's one thing that I noticed. He has no defensive switch-ins other than Fortress, so as long as I stave off Fortress, all of his offensive threats will have to come in one by one, and then I should be able to make the plays accordingly. So with that in mind, let's go to the prep. My first mon is Zamazenta-Crowned. It was my only switch into Kyurem Black, so I don't see any reason on not bringing it. And besides, its natural bulk allows it to somewhat shrug off Dugtrio. I still have more Dugtrio responses in the back, you'll see. Anyways, 252 attack allows it to hit as hard as possible, 64 special defense allows it to shrug off potentially Earth Power from Kyurem or even Focus Blast, who knows. And 192 speed EVs and a Jolly nature allows it to speed creep max speed Jolly Sneasler. Close combat is a roll to Q Kyurem Black, but with Stealth Rock I should be able to kill it. Psychic Fangs is there in case Sneasler does get onto the field and maybe Swords Dance is on me, or the terrain is already gone so that I can outspeed it and nail it with Psychic Fangs. The thing about Zamazenta here is that it's set up fodder for Volcarona. Well, not today because my Zamazenta actually has Stone Edge, and Behemoth Bash is just a good move to clip versus his team. Chi-Yu is next. As you can see, I have a Shed Shell Chi-Yu. I was that concerned about Dugtrio, and I have good reason to be, as if my Chi-Yu is gone, I can't really check Spectrier anymore at this point. Anyways, 252 speed and Timid nature allows it to speed tie with a potentially max speed Volcarona, and then I just invested the rest in special attack and foreign defense. I use a flame chart set so that I can potentially beat Kyurem Black and make up for the lack of Choice Scarf, as speed is really important in this match. Dark Pulse, Flamethrower, Overheat, pretty standard moves. The only non-standard thing about this Chi-Yu is that it has Shed Shell and it has Flame Charge. Anyways, Latias is next. Latias is EV'd to outspeed a max speed Volcarona with 176 speed EVs and a Timid nature. I threw 252 in HP alongside the Covert Cloak. This is my Sneasler counter, and because it is a Levitate mon, it can escape from Dugtrio's Arena Trap. The rest, I threw it into special attack. Psychic is just a good move to click versus his team, especially since the Leaser just completely folds to it. I didn't want to be subtle fodder for Volcarona, so I used Mystical Fire in the slot to prevent Fortress from coming in for completely free, and Thunder Wave to potentially cripple Volcarona for my backline. And Roost is always nice as I have to be extremely healthy for either Dugtrio or Sneasler. Mamoswine was naturally my next pick. I mean, has no ground resist other than Swoobat, which obviously dies to my Ice Stab. I have a Chople Berry for a potentially Sneasler close combat, a Dugtrio, maybe reversal, just fighting move in general, and as well as a potential Kyurem Black Focus Blast. I invested 176 speed and a Jolly Nature to speed creep a Tapu Koko after a Rock Tomb speed drop, invested the rest into attack and 80 points in HP. Speaking of Rock Tomb, this was my way of preventing Kyurem Black from getting out of hand, as if Kyurem Black gets a speed boost with Scale Shot, for example, that'll be really threatening. Rock Tomb also comes with the added benefit of slowing down the rest of his team like Volcarona, Tapu Koko, and Swoobat, which makes that other team's speed advantage less useful. Earthquake is really useful because, as I said, he has no ground resist, and since his only ground resist is Swoobat, Ice Shard is naturally on the set so that I can potentially revenge kill it. Stealth Rock is necessary so that Kyurem Black gets chipped, and then yeah, that's my Mamoswine. My next mon is Jolteon. You might be surprised why I brought Jolteon into this match, considering there is a Kyurem Black, a Tapu Koko, and a Dugtrio. But if I use a Tera Flying Jolteon, I am not only immune to Dugtrio's Earthquake, I also can escape from his Arena Trap, giving my team a bit more of a play against the Dugtrio. And plus, at this point I really needed speed, because if I have a Agility Jolteon in the late game, I can potentially destroy his Sneasler, Volcarona, Dugtrio endgame, and potentially Spectrier too. Anyways, my Jolteon has Focus Sash as a last resort, as I don't see his team having any hazards, like, at all. His only hazard setter is Dugtrio, Stealth Rock, and Fortress, potentially Smeargle, but I don't think that's coming. Volt Absorb just does Volt Absorb things, because Tapu Koko exists. I use Tera Flying here to escape from Dugtrio's Arena Trap, as well as giving myself a Flying Tera Blast to hit both Sneasler and Volcarona for super effective damage. 172 speed and a Timid nature allows me to outspeed a max speed Sneasler. 252 special attack EVs is pretty self-explanatory, and I just threw the rest of it in bulk because why would I let EVs go to waste? Agility, Shadow Ball, Tera Blast, Thunderbolt, pretty standard set. Agility is for the endgame, obviously. Shadow Ball is there for Tapu Koko and Spectrier, and Tera Blast and Thunderbolt are pretty self-explanatory. My last mon is quite a wild card. I decided to bring Muck. He had a lot of special attackers, and his main threat to my team was Sneasler, all of which actually died to Muck. I use a Assault Vest Poison Touch Muck with maximum special defensive investment so that I can hold myself against the Spectrier and Volcarona onslaught. Speaking of Spectrier and Volcarona, I have Shadow Sneak and Rock Slide for these two mons specifically. Poison Jab is really good for Tapu Koko, as my team really lacks a way to switch into that thing, and in case Sneasler comes in and greets Swords Dances versus my Muck, I can use Zen Headbutt to eliminate it from the game outright. Anyways, that's the prep. Let's take a look at the battle. So looking at team preview, this is exactly what I want to see. No Spectrier, no Dugtrio, most importantly, and also no Sneasler, which my team still dies to because Dire Claw is fair and balanced. So he brought Swoobat, Bayonet, and most worryingly Smeargle onto this match. I did not prep sufficiently for Smeargle, so I decided to limit it to either one move, either Sticky Web or Spore, for my Mamoswine, because my Mamoswine has Ice Shard, so I do lead Mamoswine here. As you can see, I do lead Mamoswine. He goes into Smeargle, but unfortunately he outspeeds me and puts me to sleep, and that's really bad. He does get up the webs, which is really bad for me, but then here, I don't know why he switched to Tapu Koko, but I ended up waking up and just earthquaking it into the dust. And then he goes into Swoobat, and then here, I reveal my Rock Tomb. He goes for Tera Ice, I don't know what that's for, but because of its simple ability, its speed is now in the negatives. I live his stored power narrowly, those 80 health EVs coming in a clutch. And then I use this opportunity to get up Stealth Rocks, my thought process there was, if Swoobat killed me, it was fine. Ice Shard wouldn't kill it anyways, and my remaining mons should be able to revenge kill it, especially Chi-Yu. If he switches out, preserving the Swoobat for example my Mach, I would use this opportunity to get Rocks up to chip the Kyurem Black into close combat range, and that does end up happening, which is really good for me. And then here I just go for Ice Shard for a little bit of chip, scout the moveset. It is a knockoff Mega Behemoth. So here, I'm basically forced to sack one of my mons versus Mega Behemoth because Destiny Bond. I decided to go Chi-Yu here because -1 speed Chi-Yu can't really do anything against the rest of his team. So here I go. I sent out Chi-Yu, but he makes a blunder, uses Thunder Wave on a Dark type, and then I use Flamethrower, which does not kill it, which is kind of surprising. And then here I realize that if I go Mach, I can be slower than the Mega Behemoth. He does go for the Destiny Bond. I am slower than the Mega Behemoth. He does go for the Will-O-Wisp. And then Zen Headbutt doesn't kill, unfortunately, but very fortunately, I get the Poison Point activation, which kills the Mega Behemoth and gets rid of the Destiny Bond mon. He goes into Swoobat, doesn't know that I have Shadow Sneak, very fortunate. And then now he goes into Volcarona, not knowing that I have Rock Slide. He does get a Quiver Dance up, Rock Slide doesn't do that much, it's a 3 KO. He goes for Fairy Dance number 1, which doesn't really do anything. I Rock Slide into it again. At this range, Shadow Sneak was not gonna kill, so I just go for another Rock Slide. Fiery Dance does nothing once again, and then Rock Slide gets through the Volcarona. Fantastic. He goes into Kyurem Black now, and at this rate, the game is sealed in my favor. He goes for Ice Beam, which kills me, and then now I go for Zamazenta for the freest close combat of the century. He sacks his Smeargle, which is completely fine. And then here he goes back into his Kyurem. I felt like I could live in Earth Power, so I stay in. He misses his Focus Blast, which wouldn't have mattered because my Jolteon actually had Focus Sash. And just like that, Zamazenta takes the 2 final kills and I win the game. For my post-match thoughts, I feel like I redeemed my Week 2 loss pretty well. I did not think that Mach would go this crazy, but it sure did. And I love it for it. Right now on the kill leaderboard, it's actually a higher ranking than Dragapult, which is absolutely hilarious. Anyways, I feel like I did play pretty well. I'm really surprised that Dugtrio and Spectrier didn't come and instead Mega Bayonet and Smeargle came. I feel like I could have prepped better for the hazards, but at the same time, my team was really struggling to maintain any sort of pressure against the offensive core of Tapu Koko, Kyurem Black, Dugtrio, and Sneasler. So I feel like my prep was in the right direction, and he did surprise me with the Sticky Web, but I did hold against his onslaught with my Mach, and I'm really thankful for that. My opponent, he admitted to not playing his best in that match, which I do agree on, but at the same time, hey, a win is a win. We take these. My next RPA upload might take a while because my opponent has a bit of complications on his side, but he has one of the fastest teams that I have to face in this entire league. I am really concerned just looking at the team sheet, and we shall see how this battle comes down later. So, until then, I have been Ryan and Ditto, coach of Deranged Ditto.